2025. Let's make this our year of rest. Does that freak you out? But here's the thing. What if instead of defaulting to do the most, we actually default to do the least? Hmm, that's a thought, right? I would love for this year to be the year that we focus on refilling our cups, redefining success rather than trying to get more done. What do you think? Am I asking too much? Hey, I'm Rashida, and I am a lifestyle coach for Black women, and I help us learn to work less and live more because we are so much more than our job titles. So, by teaching vision casting and life skills, I help us design a life that feels good, that allows us to be soft. That being said, on this channel, I share about my journey to quit being a strong Black woman and how I am building my soft life in hopes that it encourages you to do the same. So let's talk about the radical idea of having 2025 as our year of rest. And let's be clear, this is not about having rest as a reward. This is about having rest as our default, the thing that comes first and foremost in our lives. This is the year that we stop grinding ourselves into the ground and we start designing and living this life that we've always known we deserve, but we just seem, no matter what we do, it seemed like we couldn't actually get to it. So, in this video, I want to talk about some things that we might believe about this topic that have been holding us back. I want to talk about some of the motivation that we need to reconsider. And I also want to talk about some ways that I've been adjusting to make space for this year of rest when that's not been how I've operated in the past. I believe the lie that success only came from me working my ass off. That was how I finally got ahead. That was how I achieved the best things. That's how I got what I wanted. And in the midst of that, I found that that's not been the case. Instead, I found that that idea of pushing harder and grinding harder to someday get the rewards. I don't want that someday to be when I finally retire at 65 and I don't have the strength or the mobility in my body to be able to enjoy it. Like I want to rest. I want to live my life. I want to enjoy it while I still can. And not to say that I'm going to be completely incapacitated by the time I'm 65. But there's no reason to wait that long. I want to start fully living my life like right now because I'm not waiting for that someday to finally come. That's perpetuating slave mentality. Slave, just keep working harder. And one day I'll finally let you be free. Listen, honey, that's not going to roll. That's not going to fly. The rest that we deserve, it's not something that we have to earn. It's something that we deserve simply because we exist, simply because we breathe, simply because it's what helps us to fully show up and be our full selves to do all the other things that we actually do. We can't do things well if we're not making space to actually rest well. I mean, if you want to make it biblical, God always said, and on the seventh day we rest. It set him up to do the things that he did the rest of the week. And so I need that same space for me. We need that same space for us, for each of us, because without it, this burnout that we feel, it's never going to heal. It's always going to be a regular response because we have not healed the problem. We haven't got to the root of the problem, which is this mindset that says we have to earn our ability to rest. And if we have to earn our ability to rest, I don't know about you, but it makes me resentful of the work that I have to do. There's no space for me to be enough within this equation. It means that there's never this space that I can truly just stop. And always thinking about the next thing that I have to do leaves no space for joy. Because since there's no actual milestone, there's no actual place where I can say I have achieved something, it doesn't feel good because I've not actually reached any milestone. It feels like I'm always chasing something that's running away from me. Talk about resentment for having to push and go and do more constantly. And that push to do more, all it did was stress me out because I can't even keep up with the things that I'm already doing now. How am I supposed to make space to do more? All of that overworking takes such a huge toll on our body, on our minds, and our spirits. So, with that in mind, I want to share with you 4 steps to create your year of rest in 2025. So, step number one to live your year of rest in 2025, ask yourself, what are the parts of me that need rest? And here's why that matters. Rest is not a one size fits all type situation. What she needs for rest and what I need for rest, they don't look the same. And that's okay. We all get to be our own unique self and we all need rest in our own unique ways. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a piece of paper. I got a napkin. You get a piece of paper, okay? Take a moment to reflect and identify what parts of you need rest right now? Is it your body? Is it your emotional well being? Is it your mental well being? Take a scan of your body and see what parts of you need rest right now in this moment. Next, I want you to get really clear on what rest looks like for you. So, in the first step, you ask what part of yourself need rest. Now, what does it look like to get rest for that specific part of you? Because rest has a lot of depth. There's a lot of different ways to rest. It's not just about saying, I need a break. It's about knowing which part of you needs that rest and finding unique ways to give that part of you rest. One of my favorite posts on Instagram is from a creator. I believe it's Self Love for You. I am going to put the link to her Instagram post down in the description so that you can get some ideas on different ways that the different parts of you can find rest. And then once you get some ideas, the action step for this is that I want you to paint a vivid picture of what rest looks like for you for that part of your life that needs it most. For example, yes, rest could be taking a nap. It could be also doing something like taking a run. It could be reading a book. It can be doing something creative. It could be having deep conversations, but find something unique that's going to help you feel rested for that particular part of you. And then let's step into step number three of how to live your year of rest in 2025. Now that you know what unique thing you can do to get rest for that specific part of yourself. Now, I want you to create a habit around doing that thing on a regular basis because consistency is key. We hear people talk about consistency on a regular basis, but we usually hear it talked about in the context of work or in our business or how we show up online for our business. But consistency is also just as, if not more important, in the ways that we create rest for our mind, our body, our soul. And when we do it consistently, this is what keeps us from getting into burnout. Burnout is when our cup is completely empty. But if we're consistently filling it, our cup can never get to that point where it's completely empty. So, the action step is that now that you know the activities that help you fill that part of you that needs rest the most, I want you to pick just one of those activities and commit to doing them on a regular basis. So decide right now what that cadence is going to be. Maybe 3 times a week, or maybe you need to do a rest activity 3 times a day. Depending on what level of rest that you need, that's completely up to you. Once you make that decision and you commit to it of how much rest you need on a regular basis and the cadence, I don't want you to just say, I need to do this regularly. I want you to schedule it in your calendar because if it ain't scheduled, it ain't real. It's not going to get done. It's not prioritized if you don't schedule it. You schedule things for work. Schedule just as much for yourself as you do for work because that's how you start prioritizing rest and that's how you make this year a year of rest when you prioritize it. That'll set you up to also make this something that is natural and sustainable that you can keep doing, not just as a occasional thing, but now you're helping this to become a lifestyle. And if you need help with doing that, every Friday at Freedom Fridays, we as a community of Black women get together to do this together. So I will put the link for that right here for you to join us. And then here's step four for living your year of rest in 2025. Adapt your rest habit to evolve in different seasons of life because the reality is life is going to start lifing. Your rest habit is not going to look the same all the time because your life is not going to look the same all the time. And I want to like normalize that that's okay. That doesn't mean you failed at making this your year of rest. If you have to change the rest habit that you committed to, it's less about committing to a certain expectation of what rest should look like, and instead just prioritizing the fact that you're making time for rest. But it can look different ways for different seasons. So as your life changes, make time to assess when your life changes, what does your new habit of rest need to look like in that new season of life so that you can maintain that consistency, maintain your cup being filled, and actually go from not just having a year of rest to having a lifestyle of rest. So here's the way I want you to do that. When your life is in a busier season, consider that you might not rest as often, or if you really want to be a go getter, when your season of life is busier, schedule even more rest. Make sure that you're challenging yourself to keep a balance of allowing yourself to rest and prioritize rest, even in those seasons of being busy. And the seasons when life is slower, rest. Like, enjoy the fact that you have the space, the energy to not have to fight for rest this hard and allow your cup, your energetic cup, to be overflowing so that as you move into a busier season, you're already in a space of overflowing with rest rather than trying to catch up all the time. If you are behind in rest, that rest debt is so hard to catch up on. It takes a lot of intentionality to truly catch up. So allow yourself to stay in overflow rather than staying in rest debt. So as you adjust those things, think about what are the different cadences that work better in this season. Again, is it 3 times a day, 3 times a week, 1 time a week? What cadence of rest is going to be best for you in that season? And then make sure you schedule it. But it's okay for you to adjust what those expectations for yourself will look like. Not outside expectations, but the expectations for yourself should look like in these different seasons. Because if you keep grinding without rest, 2025 is going to look exactly like 2024. And I've heard quite a few people say 2024 was hard. 2024 was hard. If we want to change that, we have to be intentional about making these changes to stop being overbooked, to stop being overworked, and to just be over it, to let it go and make time for the rest that we deserve because we deserve it. So if you're ready to live that year of rest, take these 4 steps and combine them with this playlist here to make a vision board, a visualization of what your year of rest should look like, and have at it. Live your year of rest in 2025. Thanks for watching.